From saving money with a bounce back offer to a Walt Disney World resort, to riding a ride twice with no wait, we've got the 20 unwritten rules of Walt Disney World that are definitely going to help you have a better trip. Let's get started. Hey everybody, it's AJ for Disney Food Blog, and today we are talking about 20 unwritten rules. These are rules you will never see written down in Disney World, but they're rules that experts know and experts follow, from dining discounts to hotel discounts to transportation information and how to cut the lines. We've got all the details. So let's get started. The first one we want to talk about is the bounce back offer. So what is a bounce back offer, AJ? Well, a bounce back offer is only available to people already staying in a Disney World hotel. But once you are staying in a Disney World hotel, you can get the bounce back discount. It's called bounce back because you are bouncing back. You are coming back and staying again, and that's how they get you to book another resort reservation. Now, sometimes the discount isn't more than what you'll find via the special offers tab on the Disney website, but the travel window is usually a lot longer, so there's more dates for you to book and further out. And sometimes the bounce back offer even includes free dining when it's not available to the general public. So there's usually a pretty good incentive to book your next resort hotel reservation while you're already staying there. Now, the catch is that you have to book your next hotel reservation while you're still in this hotel reservation. So it has to be booked before 10 p.m. the day you check out of your Disney World hotel. Now, don't worry, you can always cancel that reservation. So you're booking with a bounce back offer to get a discount on your next hotel reservation, but you can always cancel that reservation. And Disney is, of course, banking on the fact that once you already have the hotel reservation, you'll continue and actually take the trip, but you don't have to. So if you're thinking at all that you might come back to Disney World, go ahead and book a bounce back offer, and then you can always cancel it if you're not going to come back. Now, if you don't see a bounce back offer card in your room, it's sometimes with the in-room information, but sometimes there isn't one there, then call 8844 from your hotel phone or call the front desk and ask about that bounce back offer. Next up, the next unwritten rule in Walt Disney World is to always go left. So we don't know why, but crowds always tend to move to the right. And that's just crowd mentality. So if you go to the left at Disney World, you'll likely find shorter lines. This is true for Magic Kingdom, where most guests will be running to Mine Train or Space Mountain to start off their day. If you head left toward Adventureland, you'll be able to hit a lot more rides and enjoy a nice stroll through a much less crowded area. And when you're headed to bag check or security check, again, go left. Lines tend to be shorter as most people hop on the line that's right in front of them. Now, the only time this might not be true is in Animal Kingdom, where going left is where you're going to get to Flight of Passage. So everybody's going to go left in Animal Kingdom when they first get there. So maybe in Animal Kingdom, you head right instead. Next thing we want to talk about is snacks for breakfast. So if you're on the dining plan, there's an unwritten rule about the best way to use those credits to save the most possible money. So use your snack for breakfast, your counter service meal for lunch, and your table service meal for dinner. That will maximize your cost savings, since dinner tends to be the most expensive meal at every restaurant. Now, breakfast snacks can be pastries, oatmeal, and depending on the location and the cast member, sometimes other side dishes like potatoes and even a single serving of eggs can count as a snack credit. Now, Les Halles in France has some great options for snack breakfasts, and it opens when Epcot does at 9 a.m. rather than later with the rest of the World Showcase, so that's a good location to go. The other great location to grab a snack breakfast in Epcot is, of course, going to be Kringle Bakery over there in Norway. So snack for breakfast, counter service for lunch, and table service for dinner. That's the best way to use your Disney dining plan credits to save the most money. Next unwritten rule is to wear your celebration button, especially if it's your first visit, your birthday, an engagement, or honeymoon. If you wear your celebration button, there's a good chance that a cast member will create a little extra magic for you. Sprinkle a little pixie dust, you may get a free cupcake, you may get a card signed by the characters, you may get a fast pass, you never know. Now, not everybody is going to get something. You're not guaranteed to get something for wearing a celebration button, but a lot of cast members do like to recognize that and create some magic for those guests. Now, if you're celebrating something super unique, like getting a new job, celebrating a major milestone you've worked hard towards, get a blank celebration button and write in your accomplishment. You never know what kind of extra magic you'll receive from cast members. The next unwritten rule is to know where the parade starts. This is especially true of the Festival of Fantasy parade in the Magic Kingdom. It usually starts from Frontierland, so if you don't want to wait for it to get all the way to Main Street, position yourself near Pecos Bills to see the parade first, then go ride rides while everyone else is watching on Main Street. That's the best use of your time. Instead of standing there on Main Street waiting for the parade to come all the way to you, watch it when it first comes out, then go ride Splash Mountain and Big Thunder Mountain really quickly while everybody else is watching the parade. Now, parades during hard-ticketed events like Mickey's Not So Scary Halloween Party typically run twice and should follow the same route both times, the same as Festival of Fantasy. But be sure to ask a cast member earlier in the evening so you know where to grab a seat. Next unwritten rule, look for refurbishments and closures before you go. Refurbishments happen all the time at Disney World, so if this is your one and only trip, or at least for a while, and you really need to get on that one particular ride, check out the refurbishment schedule when you're planning your trip and picking dates. You can find the refurb closures on Disney World's website. Currently, both Tomorrowland Speedway and the Railroad are down in Disney World due to construction of the Tron coaster in Magic Kingdom, and this closure is longer than most, about 6 months or so it's good to know when that's going on. Water rides like Splash Mountain and Kali River Rapids typically close during January, and you'll also see more refurbs during January and other slow times, so keep that in mind when you're planning a trip to avoid crowds. You might not be able to ride everything. Next unwritten rule is to watch the second show. So whether it's parades or fireworks, if there's a second showing of something, always try to see the later one and ride rides during the first, because most guests, especially guests with little kids, are going to opt out for the earlier show. But if you wait, you'll be able to get on a lot of rides while everyone's watching that first parade or show, and then you'll have fewer crowds to battle for a spot at the second parade or show. So definitely watch the second show if you can. Next unwritten rule, park hop on extra magic hour days. If you're gonna do extra magic hours, hop to a different park after the extra magic hour park opens to avoid those extra magic hour day crowds. Because, everybody goes to the park that has EMH and then they stay there all day. Don't do that. Go for EMH and then leave and go to the park that had EMH yesterday, because nobody will be there. They'll all be at today's EMH park. Next unwritten rule, how to ride twice with little to no wait. This is a great tip and you definitely need to make use of this one. If you're an early riser, you should absolutely arrive for rope drop, which is when the park first opens, and ride a few of those big ticket rides at park opening before using your fast passes so you can take advantage of the low wait times and ride twice. Good examples of this are coming into Epcot and going and riding Soarin' first thing in the morning when it first opens, and then use your fast pass to ride it again. Or when you get to Magic Kingdom, run over to Mine Train and ride that first thing in the morning when it opens, and then ride it again with your fast pass later. That's a great way to ride a ride 2 times without having to wait in line. And really, those parks don't start getting super crowded until about an hour or 2 after park opening, so you're going to be okay to ride a couple of big e-ticket rides there right at the beginning when it first opens. And not only is getting to ride Mine Train or Slinky Dog twice in one day totally awesome, but it gives you a chance to spot some things you might have missed the first time around. There's so much to take in on both of those rides, you probably won't see every detail. All right, the next unwritten rule is to schedule an early breakfast. So several restaurants have reservation times ahead of park opening, so you can get into the park before anyone else does. Make sure there's not extra magic hour that day in that park before you book your restaurant reservations, though. Make sure it's not an extra magic hour day, because then this tip won't work. So book an early ADR, advanced dining reservation, to get into the park before everyone else and get in line for the big ticket rides first. If you want to ride Frozen Ever After, book an 8 a.m. breakfast at Akershus, and then you'll be first in line for Frozen Ever After. Or if you want to ride Mine Train first thing in the morning, book an 8 a.m. reservation for Be Our Guest restaurant in Magic Kingdom, and then you'll be first in line for Mine Train when you walk over there right after breakfast. The next unwritten rule is waiting for the second bus. Now, the buses get crowded at the end of the night, and if you're in line for that hotel bus, but you don't want to stand on the bus, you can just wait for the next one. They send buses pretty quickly at the end of the night, so you should be able to get on one and get a seat if you just wait for the next one when your turn comes. But of course, if you absolutely need to get those kids home and to bed, you can always book a minivan, a Lyft, an Uber, or take a taxi to get them back to the hotel. The next unwritten rule is to use the Resort Monorail. So instead of the Express Monorail at the end of the night to get to the Transportation and Ticket Center, hop on the Resort Monorail. As you know, there are 2 monorails that go around that line from Magic Kingdom over to the Transportation and Ticket Center. The Express Monorail will take you directly from Magic Kingdom to the TTC and then directly back to Magic Kingdom, but the Resort Monorail stops at the 3 Disney resorts along the way. The Resort Monorail usually has a shorter line because there's fewer people that need to take that monorail. And if you're leaving the Magic Kingdom, there's just 1 stop at the Contemporary before getting to the Transportation and Ticket Center. So if you want to get out of the park quickly, definitely skip the ferry. It takes a long time to load and unload on top of the ride across Seven Seas Lagoon and get in that Resort Monorail line. You'll probably get to the TTC much faster than if you take the ferry or the Express Monorail. The next unwritten rule we need to tell you about is to use both sides of the line. So whether this is for bag check or the tap styles to get into the park, and even for fast passes, or when you're ordering at counter service restaurants, there's always 2 sides of the line, and they alternate between the 2 sides of the line. So be sure that you're using both sides. If you walk up to a counter service restaurant kiosk and there's a huge line on one side and nobody on the other side, you have 2 choices. You can either be super nice and tell the people in the big long line that a few of them can also go over to the other side, or you can just go over to the other side yourself and be the example. Now remember, for bag check, your family will get through faster if you double up, if you go to both sides rather than waiting single file. The next unwritten rule is those discounts on snacks. So if you aren't on the Disney dining plan and you are part of an affinity group like annual pass holders or Disney Vacation Club members, remember that you can pick up snacks in retail shops rather than food locations to get your discount on them. So you can use your AP or DVC discount on snacks like prepackaged cookies and chips you'll find in your resort gift shop or retail locations around the parks. This includes soda pop as well. So always ask about available discounts when you're paying. You never know when that membership will come in handy. Another unwritten rule of Walt Disney World is to bring your own snacks. You can also save a lot more money by bringing your own snacks. You can have groceries or Amazon packages delivered to your resort. Note that Amazon or deliveries through FedEx or UPS will be held at the front desk and will incur a fee of $6 per box. You can avoid that with grocery delivery services that have a set window of arrival. And resort gift shops also carry snacks and other quick meals like lunch meat and bread to make sandwiches. Just remember, if you're bringing a cooler into the park, make sure you aren't using loose or dry ice, as they are no longer allowed, so bring those cooler packs. The next unwritten rule is the Guest Relations Pin Trading book. If you are interested in pin trading, be sure to head to Guest Relations for the best selection of pins. They have an entire book to flip through to trade with. So if your kids are huge pin traders, you definitely want to head to Guest Relations in each park. Another unwritten rule you gotta know, use the restroom before you get in line or get your spot for a show. Rides at Disney World, even the ones with long winding indoor queues like Flight of Passage, don't have restrooms in them, so be sure to use those restrooms ahead of time. Now, we have been told at Galaxy's Edge, like Flight of Passage in Pandora, people will be given the opportunity to get out of line to use the restroom and come back to their location. So we're not quite sure how that will work, but we're glad that Disney's starting to pay attention to those things. But in the meantime, use the restroom before you get in those long lines. And one of my favorite unwritten rules is to compliment your cast member. If you meet a cast member that goes above and beyond, be sure to let someone know. And here's how. You can tweet at WDW Today using the hashtag #CastCompliment. Or you can reach out to guest services via phone or email. Just make sure you let them know the cast member's name and the area they were working to make sure that that cast member gets credited. You can also stop by Guest Relations to let them know about your great experience. And this is a super important unwritten rule. Prepare for the weather. Weather at Disney World is unpredictable, so it's best to come prepared. Pack a poncho and don't forget to pick it up before your trip to save money. And wear shoes you don't mind getting wet, or better yet, bring a second pair if they do get wet. Also, always bring sunscreen. Even if the forecast calls for rain or clouds, you can still get that sunburn. And bring layers. Even in the summer, night can get cooler, and they pump AC on the buses at the end of the night. It gets really cold, so bring those layers no matter what time of year it is. And another unwritten rule we definitely want you to know about is the character calls. Believe it or not, when you're celebrating a birthday, you can get an enchanted call from Mickey and friends wishing you a happy birthday. Be sure to ask cast members how to do this, but usually if you can find a resort phone, you just have to dial 8 and then enter 224-2144. And you'll get a special message from a Disney character. And don't forget, you can also get a wake-up call from Disney characters by just setting the wake-up call button on your phone to set the time. You never know who's going to call you to wake you up the next day. So there are a few unwritten rules that you have to know for Walt Disney World just to make sure that you're having the best possible trip and vacation you can. And again, only Disney experts know about these things, so you guys are now Disney experts. Let us know in the comments your unwritten rules, your must-dos, and your hard-won information from staying at Disney resorts or going to Walt Disney World. We'd love to hear from you guys, your tips and tricks. Please leave them in the comments for us. Don't forget to like this video if you liked it, subscribe to the channel, please, and click that notification bell so that we can let you know the next time there's a DFV Guide video. Thanks for listening and thanks for watching. This is AJ for Disney Food Blog, and we'll see you real soon.